All right, we should be live now. So I wanted to thank everybody for hopping on today. We know we've got people watching on both LinkedIn and Facebook. And today we've got Britney West from City Furniture, which I'm really excited about. To give everybody a little brief overview of Palm Beach Tech and kind of what we are and what we're doing here. Basically, Palm Beach Tech is a nonprofit. We started 5 years ago. Started in Palm Beach County. We're based in downtown West Palm. And actually, we just announced last week, because we had our anniversary this month, that with our 5th year anniversary, we're actually going to be expanding and we're actually going through a whole rebrand. So we just announced that our new name is actually going to be, instead of Palm Beach Tech, it's going to be South Florida Tech. And now the regional effort will be from Miami to Martin County. So we're super excited about that. And of course, we are going to be working on more partnerships with the colleges, universities, coding schools, the different headquarter companies like City Furniture, any of our chambers, anybody here that's connected to our business and technology community, we're going to be working on, especially now in Broward and in Miami. So again, my name is Nikki, VP of Development. I will drop in the comment section on LinkedIn and Facebook my email address and our website. I'll be dropping some links there as Brittany's talking as well that may be helpful. And if anybody has any questions on social media, please feel free to put in the comment section any questions or comments, and I will make sure to get those to Brittany as well. But Brittany, I'm going to turn this to you, and if you'd like to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about your role there, and of course the organization that you all do and who you are. I will hand this to you.
Thank you, Nikki. Thanks everyone for joining. I know I can't see you, but I know you're all there. So today we're going to be talking to you about the mobile app journey that City Furniture went on a few years ago and how it's really changed our business through the associate experience and the customer experience. And then even through COVID, our past endeavors on technology have really helped us get through this tough time. So we were very lucky to have done that in the past. And hopefully if any of you own businesses or intrigued by technology and the retail world, I hope we can kind of guide you through some of the things that we've done. So like Nikki mentioned, my name is Britney West. I am a product manager of the mobile apps that all of our sales associates use on the sales floor, and now even virtually, now that we've moved to a more virtual world. Started actually in sales. So I came into IT with a kind of a business liaison between IT and sales when we were launching the mobile app. So I was there to make sure that they worked as a user expected them to work. So I was a user acceptance tester, then moved into a business analyst role and started to really gather the requirements for all of the enhancements and projects we were working on within the mobile app. And then eventually became the product manager, and just anything that kind of happens in the mobile apps, I have my hand in and make sure that they get done and they work properly and that's sent out to sales and with all the way we wanted it to. So with that, I'll go ahead and share my screen, and we'll kind of show you guys a little bit about what we've done. Really, the journey started in 2016, so January of 2016. So it's just over 4 years ago that we started our mobile app journey. So today we're going to talk about empowering your associates and creating loyal customers through outstanding mobile experiences. And the first thing that we did was we essentially went from green screen to iPad just like magic. And if any of you are familiar with the green screen, it's the AS400. It's also called the I-Series. There's tons of different names for it, but if any of you are familiar or if you have this technology, you might think it's impossible to go from an AS400 legacy system to an iPad, but I'm going to talk you through our journey and how we did it without having to rip out 40 years of technical debt and how it's been really beneficial to us moving forward in our growth as a business. And then the main thing, why? Why did we decide that our sales associates needed to be mobile and have better technology? Why did we take that approach instead of using systems that were working, right? They were working for us, but we wanted something better. So customer expectations are changing. City Furniture is attempting to raise the bar within the home furniture shopping experience to meet these new expectation levels and become a technology company that sells furniture. So one of the best one of the best advice we've ever gotten, and I believe it was from Gardner, said, like, you need to become a technology company. And you might think that sounds crazy, like, we sell furniture. What does it have to do with technology? Well, if 2020 hasn't taught you anything, it's all about technology. And, you know, obviously we've learned new lessons this year, but if you think about the past, and I think about my shopping experience as a consumer, you know, with the world of web and being able to purchase things online, like, why would I ever set foot in your showroom or your store? If you don't provide me a reason to go, I'm not going to go. I'm going to just stay at my house and I'm going to buy online, which a lot of the younger generations tending to do. So we knew if we wanted to keep these beautiful 100,000 square foot showrooms that we have and that we're continuing to build throughout South Florida, we better level up, or we're not going to, you know, make it as far as we'd like to with the technology that we have. So this here, if anybody's not familiar with the AS400, this is what it looks like. It was a custom developed ERP on IBM mid-range systems. So from 1980 through the present, we still have the AS400. And again, it had large technical debt working, but it was working for a $500 million a year company. So it was working for us. It just wasn't letting us level up, and we knew we needed to do better. And also, as a new sales associate coming in, which at one point I was, this was awful to learn, awful to deal with. A lot of people might have that skill set of selling, but if the technology fails them or they can't quite grasp the technology, the chances of you keeping that person dwindles because they don't feel comfortable or confident, and they're going to have a lot of errors and they're going to make a lot of mistakes. So it was definitely challenging to learn as a new hire. And then also for a customer, this is all you see, right? You don't see anything. You don't see what you would see if you went online at cityfurniture.com. So a little bit about our modernization journey. We just wanted to transform at scale and change the way sales associates work. So it started down here. So this was when I got involved. I went to a enterprise design thinking workshop with Apple and IBM in Cupertino. So it was 3 sales associates, our CFO, CIO, Steve Wilder, and some of our IT folks. A lot of them had been working there for many years and had built up the AS400 for many years. So they were very familiar with our current state. And what was surprising about this workshop is first of all, I had no idea what I was getting into. I just was asked if I wanted to go to California. And of course I was like, yep, absolutely. That sounds wonderful. Little did I know that week was going to change my life and of course City Furniture's life as well. So we went to Cupertino and we sat in a room for a week. And surprisingly, they did not want to talk to IT. They did not want to talk to the CFO, the CIO. They wanted to talk to us, the sales associates, the ones that had to do the job every day, the ones that were in front of the customers, dealing with the pain points and trying to figure out how to do our job better and more efficiently. And from that, they actually came back with wireframes around a lot of the things that we were talking about and a lot of the pain points we wanted to solve for. So some of the main pain points we wanted to solve for was disengagement. So if any of you are in the sales world, you know how important it is to continuously engage with your guests so you can make the sale. So here I am. I'm with you and your family or whoever you're with. I'm building rapport. We have a great relationship. We're walking around this beautiful showroom. And the moment you lay your eyes on something that you want, you ask me, well, when can I get it? I have no idea. Well, what are the measurements? Like, what is other colors does it come in? What does it go with? You might ask me 100 questions, and I wouldn't have any answers for you because all I had was myself, a piece of paper, and a pen. I didn't have any information at my fingertips. So I have to run over to a computer as fast as I could, get the information, and come back. And then, of course, when you're talking about inventory availability and delivery availability, those things are changing rapidly. So an hour ago, I might have told you this sofa was available for delivery tomorrow, and then by the time you make the purchase, it's now not available until 2 weeks from now. And now you might not purchase because you might have think that I gave you some mistrust there. So it was really important that we had less disengagement, that we were more efficient, we were getting busier, our business was growing, but we wanted to be faster on the floor. In the past, you had to walk the guest around, write everything down on a piece of paper, and then you had to walk them over to a desk in the middle of the showroom, sit them across from you. So there goes that rapport, there goes all that friendliness, and kind of you become their family for a little bit. You're shopping for their home, and now it's all about the dollar, and they want to get out of there as fast as they can, spending the least amount. So all the protection you talked about for stain removal or the add-ons to make their living room look beautiful with that new sofa all just went out the window. So those are like the main things that we wanted to introduce into being mobile and having a better experience. So the first thing that we did is we worked with IBM, and they called the MVP Sales Assist, and from there we customized it specifically for city furniture. And I'll tell you what we called it as we get into the next screen. So we had to figure out. So one thing we didn't do is we did not gut our legacy system. So we still to this day operate on the AS400, which has 40 years of technical debt. And we were able to do that through the integration of APIs. And we were able to connect the front end mobile app to the back end web services, which was the AS400. So we did not have to start over to get better. And that's a huge thing for you guys to understand is, do we want to keep the AS400 forever? We don't. We would like to modernize out of it, but we don't have to wait for the many, many years it's going to take us to do that. And still we have better technology than we ever had before, and we're continuing to expand on it. So we did all of this, still keeping our legacy system. All of our customer records, all of our data, all of that still maintains where we've always had it. So that was a huge integration, and that was where a lot of the development time was spent. And then we wanted to make sure that when we launched these mobile apps, that it wasn't just an MVP, which is a minimal viable product. We didn't want the associates to have to use the iPad for just a few moments and then have to do everything back on their old system. We had seen through benchmarking with competitors and other furniture retailers that was failing, that they were spending a lot of money trying to give their associates just like a catalog essentially, but they weren't actually improving their process or the customer experience. So Steve Wilder, our CFO and CIO at the time, was like, we have to blow their socks off day one. And that's when we knew we had to be able to create an invoice, see our entire catalog, all the availability, have access to all the customer information. And then a big one is we still need to be able to take finance and payment functionality. So we didn't want them to have to write an invoice and then go somewhere else to get payment. So before we launched, we integrated all three mobile apps. So we have ASAP, which is a point of sale, a finance app, and a payment app. And then we actually integrated Ingenico payment and quick screen integration. Now, those are future enhancements I'll talk about. So I wasn't really involved right here. So I kind of went to the workshop, and then I came back up here to test. And that's when we kind of had to revise a lot of things since a sales associate hadn't touched it in nearly a year. So I came back, I did all of the UAT, helped train the entire sales department. We launched, and about a few months after we launched, we were actually able to remove the invoicing, or not the invoicing, but the payment and finance options from the AS400. So we kind of forced the adoption to where some of the others hadn't maybe adopted yet. And then not too long after that, we removed invoicing. So we were able to slowly adopt into the mobile apps and then kind of force it at the end by listening, revising, making things better, and enhancing to what we needed at that time. And then since then, we've actually been able to deploy other mobile apps, which I'll take you through, which is My Day, which is our account management and prospecting app, Opportunity app, which is it's our queuing system at the front door, so we keep the system fair, so everybody kind of is matched with the guest, and then a KPI app, which kind of ties everything up in a little bow and gives you all your data. So it's been quite a journey, but we started the initial deployment with just these three. These are the three we said we have to have it before we go live. And again, that's ASAP, which stands for Accelerating Sales Associates Performance. The mobile payment, which we use Ingenico RP750, the mobile terminal, so everyone has like a little Ingenico Bluetooth device. And then our mobile finance, so anytime, anywhere, when the customer feels comfortable, you can actually approve them for financing, and you can know right away what their spending power is, where in the past you might spend hours with them only to get to the desk and find out that they weren't approved or they weren't able to make the payment, and so you kind of lost that time, and then obviously sometimes they'd be embarrassed as well. So being mobile has really helped kind of the customer and the associate all in one. So this is like when you launch the mobile apps or the iPad, this is like the home screen of the iPad. So you have your 3 apps down here that we launch with, which is ASAP, Payment, and Finance. And then just another thing that a lot of people don't think about, but being on an iPad also gives you the ability to have other things mobile. So you have an internal communication app, like a radio app through the showroom. You can call customers through your Bluetooth headset, so you can walk around the store and take calls anywhere. You have access right to our intranet and to information we need. You can track customers' delivery. We even have a translate app, so if someone comes in and they speak a different language, you can still help them. So we just were able to just put all of this inside of our associates' hands, and they're so much more powerful when they step foot on the showroom floor than when we just gave them a piece of pen or a piece of paper and a pen. So this is what it looks like actually when you launch ASAP. So you saw the screen earlier, and I'll have a comparison on the next slide of it was just the black screen with the green writing. Now you actually have product and rooms and categories. And again, it's a front end. So we use Swift development or Swift language to develop the front end. And then the APIs are programmed with Node.js, and they connected back to the web service, which is RPG. And this is all called real time from a system of record, which is our AS400 DB2. So we just kind of connected everything together, and it works flawlessly when we need it to. So it's been really great for us. So here's a good before and after. So if you were sitting with me at City Furniture in the past and I was showing you things on the AS400, this is what it would look like. Versus now, this is what it looks like. So you can see here you have availability, you have price, you have all the different collections, and then you can sort and filter down to what you want to see. So it's been super amazing, especially for a new hire who we've been able to bridge the gap from somebody who's been here for many years to someone who's only been with us for a few weeks. If you were a customer coming into the door and Britney had been here for 4 years and Billy had been here for 2 weeks, you would hope that you got Britney because you just imagine that you're going to get a better experience. She has more knowledge. She can help you. She knows her way around the store and the business. And in the past, that might have been true. But now that everybody has an iPad, we all have the power of knowledge in our hands, and we have everything we need to help you and your family get to what you want to make your house into a home. So it's been really beneficial for people joining our team as well. And so here's another example of being able to use the filters to really dive down to what your customer wants to see. A good one that a lot of the associates like is availability. So obviously with everything that's going on in the world and factories that are shutting down in and out, availability has been really challenging. We have a lot of back orders. And then also you got to think like our business ramped back up pretty heavily after we were reopened from COVID. You know, people are spending nearly all their time at home, more than they've ever spent at home. So what do you want in your home? You want furniture. You want really nice, functional furniture. And so that's been helping us, but the availability has been hurting us. So we can actually filter down to just what's available. So that way, if you come in and say, hey, I need something delivered tomorrow, what do you have? With just a click on your iPad, you can see everything that the customer can have tomorrow. You would have never been able to do that in the past. It would have been impossible. And then other things, price, color, size. If you have a size restriction, maybe you're looking for a new home office desk, but you don't have a home office, so you're squeezing it into a tight space. All of that can be done right through our mobile app. So super, super beneficial here. You also have a product detail page that provides you images of the product, the different colors, the different sizes. Again, your real-time availability. So you know right now this is a green check mark, so you can get it any day, all day. We have it available for you. And then another really great feature is suggested. We actually added and the ability for the app to provide suggested items. So if you're like, hey, if you like this sofa, you might also like this table and you might like this rug. These pair very well with this. So some suggested selling in there has been helpful as well. Again, none of that was possible with just the AS400. You only had yourself in your brain. That's all you had, and now you have an amazing tool. And then this is just what it looks like when you want to see what's available every day. Super easy with just a tap, and it's real time. So if someone buys one down in Miami and I'm up here in Boca, it'll go to 4 as soon as they schedule it. So it's very quick in real time. And then this is an example of the cart. So this is exactly what a customer would see when they're checking out. They know exactly what they're buying. They have a picture of it. They have the quantity, the totals, everything right here. And the beauty is you can actually sit on this sofa with these pillows and this rug, everything you're seeing here, and buy it on this sofa. So what a great experience to be able to be with your family on the product that you're buying. You never have to leave that environment, and you can really just do everything very quickly. And it's never that business, like sit down across from me, let's do this contract type of approach. It's just very relaxed and inviting. So that's also very helped our sales. And the efficiency of having the ability to create your invoice while you're shopping has also made it very efficient for the associates to transact quickly so they can get back into the door and help the next guest. So you have more guests being helped much faster. And I'm sure most of you have bought furniture, or you've been with somebody who bought furniture. It's not fun. It takes forever. It costs money, and it's very time consuming. So anything that we can do to help you have a better experience, like that's our goal, and that's really what we've done through these mobile apps. They're not just designed for sales associates, they're designed for the customer in mind as well. You can see here too, we added some nice visuals to show you when something's available and when it's not. So if I scheduled this customer for any of these dates, this indicates that they have a back order. Versus if I schedule them for Monday or Tuesday, they're going to be fully reserved. So this is also a really great visual for the customer to understand that it's best if they get everything at one time. And then you can decide how you want to pay, and it actually launches you right into the payment app. So all of our apps are very connected. They all talk to each other. We did not do everything in one mobile app. I'll never forget, John Mutter from IBM said, it's better to have five-page apps than one 25-page app. And so from there, we said, okay, ASAP is the meat and potatoes. It's the point of sale. It has your cart, your catalog, your customer information. Then we're going to launch into a payment app. And here's just for payments and refunds. That's all we do in the payment app. But they launch directly into each other. So there is no double searching. It's very quick and efficient. You can see your invoice right here if you tap on items so they know what they got. All of that information is right here for you. And then this is what our customer profile and order history looks like. So another benefit to having ASAP is we actually introduced customer profiles. In the AS400, we did not have that. So if you came in, so if Kelly Smith came in to buy on January 19th, and then for whatever reason, she came by an hour later or the next day, there was no profile for Kelly. I had to re-enter all of her information from scratch, beginning to end. So again, it slows you down, and the customer's like, I was just here. Why don't you have me in your system? You know, we're living in an Amazon world where you just click a button and they have everything they need, and it shows up at your door, right? So we were able to introduce customer profiles through ASAP, and now you can not only pull up your customer information as you're shopping, but you can get to know your customer. So you know when the last time Kelly bought, what she bought, how much she likes to spend, how often she likes to buy. She's becoming one person to us instead of this chopped up person that's just a bunch of invoices. So we're actually able to condense that data and figure out how can we serve Kelly better versus Susan or versus Christy, because everybody's different. And instead of having this one big approach, we can actually decide how we want to market to each person based off of their past. So that's been helpful for us as well. And then another thing, I mentioned this on a few slides back about the ability to integrate finance quick screen. So again, in the past, I mentioned that you would go through an entire sale. Someone might want to buy something for their whole house, and then you get to the very end and it didn't quite work out, whether it was the money or they didn't get approved for financing. And now, as long as you can pull up a customer with their first name or their first and last name and an address, it's like a soft lookup. It actually will present a pre-approval right then and there. So imagine being Chris Bray and being able to know that when you walk into City Furniture, you thought you had $1,000 to spend because that's all you had on your credit card, or that's all you thought you were going to have if you applied for financing, to say, hey, you've been pre-approved for $5,500. Do you want to accept it? And if you accept it, it actually launches right into our finance application, and you can do it right then and there. So that's super, super powerful for an associate to know right when that customer walks in, like how much buying power do they have and what are they willing to look at today. And we did this by connecting our APIs to Synchrony's APIs, and it's a real-time pre-approval. So it happens immediately once you add them to your opportunities for today. And then we also integrated that into My Day, which I'll talk about in a little bit, where we can actually prospect any of these guests that did not do the application but may still be interested. You know, you might be closing on your house next week and you're not quite ready to do the finance application yet, but you would like me to call you at a later time. We actually integrated that into a prospecting tool. Another huge, huge benefit that we didn't even know when we started mobile apps was the integration of ACE, which is a competitor edge program that Ashley introduced, Ashley Furniture. I'm sure most of you are familiar with Ashley. We actually we own the Ashley stores in South Florida. So anything within the South, East Coast, and then the West Coast is all of our stores. And then anything in Orlando and above, those do not belong to City Furniture. But we do have to go in the guidelines of what Ashley Corporate wants us to do. And they wanted us to introduce this strategy called ACE, where essentially gave the customer the ability to choose between a higher discount and lower financing, or less of a discount and higher financing. So for example, you can see here, if you wanted something like 6 months, you're saving $569 and you would have a $51 payment. Versus if you were up here at 72 months, you're not getting any savings, but you have a lower monthly payment. So this new program that they wanted to introduce, but if you go back here and notice that this was a $4.7 billion company, which is Ashley, and we were actually the only ones in all of the United States that had to introduce this. So I was able to automate it. So basically every other Ashley store is doing this by hand, which could take them up to 20 minutes. So at the opposite direction of going quickly, we were able to now do this in 2 minutes. So all you have to do is show this to your customer. They decide which payment works best for them or what savings works best for them, and then automatically knocks the discount off in the cart, and they're able to transact. So huge, huge effort on the development side. That was probably one of the hardest things I think IT has ever done. I think when we tested this, we were in the office at like 4 a.m., but super beneficial to our associates to be able to have technology do this for them and not to be expected to do this by hand. So we were so grateful to have ASAP when that was introduced to City Furniture. So, you know, when you guys introduce technology, what happens in the future because you have it is just unforeseen. And we've been, you know, even with COVID, like we were so happy to have mobile apps and iPads that even when they shut our stores down, we could still have associates working from home through the web and bringing money into the business because we invested in ourselves years ago, and it's really benefiting us now. So this is one of those other examples of we were so happy to have it. So this here is My Day. This is one of my favorite apps. This is a newer app. We've had it for about 2 years. It's on a different database. It's run by MongoDB, which is document-based. And the reason we did that is it can handle large amounts of data. So what My Day is, it's an account management / prospecting tool. So on the account management, which we call tasks, these are things that you have to do because your customer has they have an invoice and there's some action you need to take, whether they have a back order that you need to call them and let them know, or maybe they don't have a delivery scheduled and you need to call them and schedule their delivery. So that's half of the the account management. And then the other half is prospecting, where you're actually calling in guests to try to bring them back in and purchase, because whether they had a pre-approval from the synchrony that I showed you, or maybe they have a wish list item on sale. So we were able to actually collect all this data from ASAP and put it into this new database, and then present real-time information to our associates on when they need to be called and in what priority. So the farther left it is, the higher priority. So they should call this person before they call the next person. So super beneficial for anybody that has ever worked in sales. When you have downtime, you should be on the phone. So we basically fed them. All they have to do is eat. They just got to make the call and pull the trigger. So the reason also we did MongoDB is each card has specific attributes, so it's flexible on how we store data and present it real time to the associate. So again, there's many, many reasons why you're going to get pushed a flashcard to call. So it needs to be able to know exactly when that flashcard is supposed to arrive. If it's supposed to expire, whether it's because you only have 3 days to make this call, like before something changes, or your wish list on sale item is only going to be on sale till next week. So there's a lot of moving parts in My Day, and we were able to account for all of the scenarios using that database. And also it's highly available, so it does not go down due to redundancy. There's a lot of data being pushed into My Day. We've got, I don't know how many associates now, 700 to 800 sales associates at this time, and each of them could have hundreds of flashcards that they need to call throughout the day or throughout the week. So it's super important to have a database that can handle that. And then this is what the prospecting looks like. So again, just some ribbons that you put in order from left to right, when they're going to expire, when to call them, what actions to take. Super fun app. We're actually revamping it right now to make it even better. So I'm super excited about My Day. Definitely one of my favorites. And then this is the opportunity app that I was telling you about as well. That this is the same approach of Node.js on MySQL hosted at AWS, because again, it's highly available. And why we can't afford redundancy on the opportunity app is because this is the app that promotes fairness and in a competitive environment, and it allows City Furniture to attract activity beyond door count. So essentially, if any of you have walked into City Furniture before, hopefully you have. We have free cookies, we have wine, all the things, so go check it out. But there's usually an associate or two associates sitting at the front door waiting to greet you. And what's in front of them is this opportunity app. And what it is it's telling you in what order you would be if you wanted to go and greet a guest at the front door. So Amy is number one. So she would sit at the desk first, and the next guest that comes in, she takes that guest, and then she actually moves down to the bottom of the list, and then Christopher becomes number one. So there's a lot of floor rules we have just to keep it fair. It's a commission environment, so we want to make sure nobody, is not having a fair chance to get their guests. So this actually allows us to have this queuing system, and then we also color coded to know where they are. So if you're green, you're available, you don't have anybody with you. If you're gray, you're with a customer, and if you're red, you might be on your lunch break, you might be in a training, you might be making My Day phone calls. So we actually can, so your manager can see exactly where Britney is, what she's doing, if she needs her assistance or she needs anything from Britney. And then again, another thing that we did, I don't know if I have, yes I do, is before we have door counters when you come into City Furniture, but that doesn't tell you who's coming into your showroom and who's buying or not buying. It just simply tells you the amount of people that are coming in and out. So with the Opportunity app, it links directly to ASAP. And when you add the customer in ASAP to be able to work with that customer, it's essentially you're adding their profile to your day. If they leave and do not buy, we can know that. So if they buy, life's great, we love it. If they don't buy, we were never able to figure that out. Well, why did Britney leave and why didn't she buy? So we've actually came up with a list of reasons for not buying, and then that'll help us understand why we're losing our guests and why they're not becoming customers. It could be, we don't have the right prices. We don't have the right product availability. They needed something tomorrow. We didn't have it. Maybe they're looking for, a lot of people in the past would come in looking for cribs. Well, guess what? We finally got cribs. We didn't have them for many years. So, that goes into product selection. So lots of different things we can learn when we moved away from that pen and paper world and into a technology world. So super big improvement there. And then, of course, just like everything else in the world, you have to tie everything back together through analytics. So we did that using a data warehouse implementation and underlying architecture through a change data capture called the CDC, which is a tool that connects the data warehouse to the AS400, and it transforms the data into its final, clean, readable new state. So we actually were able to present that data back to the business, back to the sales associates, back to the sales managers, and you can daily track how you're doing, how your showroom's doing, how your region's doing, how the whole entire company is doing. And again, back to sales, if you guys work on commission or ever have, like, what's the number one thing you want to know? How much money am I making? People are driven by money. So we're actually able to show them exactly how much money they received, how much of it was canceled, what their average invoice is. So you can learn a lot. There's the opportunity KPI. So this will show you what percentage of your people coming in the door that you're greeting are they guests, which means you didn't get enough information about them to be a prospect. Maybe you just got a name, but that's it. A prospect, which is enough information for you to reach back out to them, right? You got a name, a phone number, an email. And then customers. How many of your associates or your guests are you converting to customers? And these things are just to make you a better sales associate. If you say, well, John has a really high conversion rate compared to Britney, like, how can Britney learn from John? Again, we had none of this before mobile apps. Mobile apps made this all possible because we're able to really move that information from one app to the next. And then there's your finance KPIs. So again, how many applications do you have? How many quick screens were approved, right? So he got 10 out of his 21 customers actually went for the quick screen application. So he's about 50% conversion right there, which is great. He might be much less if we never had quick screen. And then again, this is just to show you at the showroom level. It doesn't have to be at the person level. So as a manager, super important to have all of this data as well. So to wrap it all up, by introducing mobile apps outside of, having better technology, and obviously preparing for things in the world that we didn't know were coming, we saw a lot of benefits. So we saw a 17% increase in our average ticket, and I attribute that to the suggested selling that I showed you in the mobile app, and also the ability to keep that guest. As you can see, I'm with a guest here on the couch, together on the sofa that you're buying, and you are not taking them away from that environment, and they're still in that buying process, and they're not thinking about the money, they're thinking about it in their home. We also had a lot more controls added to ASAP. So there was actually a 58% decrease in discounts. Think about that, 58% more control. We decreased the amount of discounts we're giving, which means that we were letting people run a little rampant, and we were able to save a lot of money just by adding those controls. And then we saw a 29% increase in service revenue. And what those are like your in-home service and stain removal programs that protect your furniture from, wear and tear and stains and all of that. And again, if I hand you a free chocolate chip cookie to your son who's sitting on the gray sofa you're about to buy, you're more likely to get the stain removal sitting on that sofa watching your son eat a chocolate chip cookie than if I brought you to a business office in the middle of nowhere where you're not even thinking about the sofa, you're only thinking about the money. So we're able to protect a lot of people's investments because they're seeing the value in it while they're on the product. And that's straight revenue, having the services added. So, and then we've also saw a 50% decrease in time to invoice. So again, we wanted to be more efficient. So if it's taking me half the time to invoice, that's 50% more customers I can talk to a day. And we all know sales is a number game. And also that's a lot more customers for being helped and not waiting around for somebody to come help them. So it's just beneficial all around. We saw an 80% decrease in onboarding, so that's training. So again, I mentioned that learning the AS400 was very, very challenging. Learning an iPad, much easier to learn. Most of us have iPhones. If not, we have some smart tool. And Apple is very particular. They have human interface guidelines. So a share icon on my mobile app at City Furniture is the same as the share icon on my iPhone that I carry around in my pocket. So it's very intuitive because it's a streamlined process. And if you've ever worked with an Apple product, you can pick up ASAP and essentially understand it for the most part outside of knowing our business rules. And then, of course, if you work at City Furniture and you are a sales associate, you would love to make more money. And that's exactly what ASAP did by increasing that average invoice, decreasing the time it took them to invoice, and helping them learn and bridge that gap between a veteran and a new hire. So that's all been super beneficial. So for anyone who may need to take a journey into their technology and figure out how they can make it better, some keys to the initial success was user participation, which is where I came in, where we had that Kaizen decide upon the mobile device. So as a sales team, they decided iPad over any other device. And then that worked out when IBM and Apple paired. That was a really good pairing for us because we knew that we wanted a user-friendly mobile device, and iPads are up there at the top. That workshop I told you about was very user-focused. Again, like IT kept wanting to step in, and they kept getting respectively shut down. They were told, like, this isn't about you, it's about the user. And again, making sure that minimal viable product was a minimal adoptable product, which is what Steve really focused on, which is the game changer. He did not want to hand them a glorified catalog. He's like, I want them to be able to, like, this changes my life day one. And not to say, like, you guys will still have people that don't want to adopt. Like, people just don't like change. But they are more willing to adopt to something that can take them through their entire process than to something that gets them 50% there. So we held firm on that, and that was probably one of the best things that we could have done. And then, of course, continuous improvement feedback, which is where my role developed when I started just, doing the QA and into the product manager role. It's because I was really that liaison between sales and IT to make this app better and better and better. And we started with 3, and now we have 6, and we're going to keep going. So next time I talk to you guys, we might have a new app. I don't know. And then, of course, you want to get the senior management support, CEO advocate. So Keith Koenig at the time made sure that he advocated for this. And obviously, Andrew Koenig, who's our current president, fully supports technology in the future and our 5-year roadmap. So getting that support was huge because it's not cheap and it takes a long time. But as soon as we launched ASAP and the mobile apps, we saw immediate return. It was crazy how much it took to get us there, but when we got there, it was worth it. And then great partners, of course, IBM, we've been their partner for more than 38 years now. And then they actually combined with Apple, which really, really helped us in this partnership. Ingenico, which is a mobile device that we use to take payment, and they are also PCI compliant. So that was really helpful for us as well. Gartner, which is the catalyst to City's digital journey. So we talked to Gartner a lot. We do a lot of benchmarking with them. And then, of course, Synchrony Financing to allow us to do the quick screen pre-approval integration was also very helpful. And then the path forward. So we decided, why stop at sales? Like, sales, everybody wanted what sales got. The operations, customer care, marketing, they all want to be modernized now because they've seen how incredible it's been for our sales department. So this past year, starting last year, we started working with Salesforce, which I'm sure a lot of you are familiar with Salesforce. It's a cloud-based solution with customer service-facing application, and we're doing the same implementation as the mobile apps. We are still connecting APIs back to our AS400, and Salesforce is just the front end that we're using to help reduce call time, reduce turnover, and increase customer satisfaction. So if anyone's had to call customer care and you've had to wait, we apologize. We're working on it. We want to make sure we get you to where you need to be as soon as possible. And then also, customer care is a high turnover position if any of you have that in your company. So being able, again, to train them on something that's intuitive versus the AS400, it's just a world difference. We're talking like a 4-week training class to a 2-week training class. So think about all the time and money spent there. We lose a lot of people because they didn't even make it through training. They're like, forget it. this is too much for me. So now having Salesforce, we're already starting to see that that's much better for them. And then, of course, you want to have a customer-facing mobile app. As you can see, we love mobile apps over here at City Furniture. So we want to be able to increase customer engagement and satisfaction, increase sales, and boost brand recognition and customer loyalty. So that is something we'll be working on for the future. And obviously, we'll have an omni-channel experience. So if you're shopping online or on the customer mobile app and you come into the store, we can wrap that all up and know exactly where you were in your journey of buying furniture. We're actually implementing RFID, which is radio frequency identification, into our showrooms and then into the warehouse. So we're wrapping up the stores right now. So for anyone that has to deal with inventory, you know how important it is to know what your inventory is. So RFID has been super beneficial for us there. And again, like we're going to be able to have better inventory accuracy so we can provide you better delivery dates on any back orders. And then a big one that I'm super excited for, and I think the whole world is that augmented reality. So I know a lot of people want to see things in their home before they buy it. And so we're working on that real world experience so you can actually put the sofa in the room with the painting and the rug and just, you know, make sure it works for you, whether it's coloring or spacing or anything like that. So all of this started with mobile apps. So we never really stopped once we got going. All right. So I don't know how long I've been talking, but if anybody have any questions, I can actually stop sharing and go back to Nikki here.
There we go.
And see if there's anything you want to talk to wrap it up or any questions.
We actually do have a few questions and comments, so I will read some of those out to you. And by the way, just my personal opinion, I think it's awesome because I actually started my whole career in retail and I wish I had half of this. So I just feel like it really empowers the sales associate, and like some of those numbers are like super impressive. Like I think it's awesome.
Unbelievable. Yeah. I wish I had this when I was in sales. I never went back. And I was like, wait, I never got to like go and use the iPad, you know, but incredible
I think
stuff.
That's great. I mean, for anybody that's new, you know, in retail or in sales with you guys, I mean, I hope they know how spoiled they are. It's awesome.
Oh yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's new hires that are like, so what did you guys do before? We're like, don't ask.
Yeah, like you don't want to know the answer to that question.
Yeah, you don't want to go back. You want to keep this. But no, and I mean, and credit to our IT department. We have a very small IT department. I mean, when we launched ASAP, we probably had maybe 10 developers in total at that time. I mean, doing things that billion-dollar companies can't figure out. I think it just speaks to, you know, what Keith likes to say is that we punch above our weight class. And he's right. Like we come up with these incredible implementations and we're just a mighty few. And but
it's actually
done
an
a great
awesome way
job.
to put it. Yeah. Let me see. I do have a few questions and comments. So couple of the comments, Todd Albert says, I remember those screens bought from City Furniture many times. This is such a big improvement. And then Justin Kent says, this is really cool. What a great success story. He said, great presentation, Brittany. He did ask a question, said, when you think back on the week, it says in Cupertino that changed your life, was there an insight or question asked that you think you could apply to other businesses? Can you describe that process?
Like asked from the people at the workshop? Is that what he's asking?
I'm not sure.
Guessing.
It says, yeah, it says, when you think back on the week in Cupertino that changed your life, was there an insight or question asked that you think you could apply to other businesses?
I just think that when I was there, when I showed up there, you know, I was just a sales associate. So I was like, why are they even asking me to go, right? And I showed up and I had no idea. I was like, I'm not going to say a word. Like, I don't know why I'm here. Like, you don't know. You're with the big dogs. You're with Apple and IBM. I'd never even met our CFO, CIO. I was like, oh, this is crazy. But what really changed me, in my opinion, of being there and took my nerves away was they're like, I just want to talk to you guys. Like, they just literally gave us the floor. They said, just tell us what happens from the moment you get out of your car the moment you get back into your car every day, and what makes it really hard to do your job. And and just, it all just started coming out. We were just very open and honest. And it was funny to watch IT, because they were like, oh, we didn't even know all of that was going on, you know? So it was just a really incredible week of us just reflecting on what we want to see be better, not just for us, but for our customers. And that's where I felt like this is really going to be something, because when they brought back the wireframes just a few days later, it was like, this is what we asked for. And if it had come from somebody inside of IT, it would have never been what it is today, because really the users have the power. Like, we were the ones using our voice to see the change that we wanted, because we're the ones doing the job. So that, I think, if I don't know, Justin, if you're in any kind of like company where you're doing that sort of thing, just like let the users, they know best at the end of the day, you know?
Yeah. And I think the big thing there is, like you said, is that they really, even though in the beginning you may not have known why you were there, I think the big difference is just that leadership really was, you know, talking to the people that are on, you know, on the ground floor. And I mean, literally the furniture floor, but like, you know, and actually trying to find out like what you guys go through on a daily basis. Because like you said, I think there's probably a lot of different departments that have their own input, but you guys are really the ones that we're dealing it with on a day-to-day basis. And I'm sure that's why it ended up being such a great app, because they were getting the input that they should have from the right people, you know?
Yeah. And then they brought us back in when the app was developed, you know? So well, I didn't know. I thought that was it. I was like, all right, I did my job. And then they're like, come on down to corporate. And here I am like 4 years later. But yeah, I mean, they handed me the iPad. This is like still the first iPad ever. Like, I still have it. And again, it wasn't like, let's just launch it and figure it out. They're like, no, you guys have to sign off on it because it has to be right.
Yeah.
And it wasn't, you know, and it never is until you get the users involved. And I'll tell you, we came back, like, it was 11 months, and just some of the things they had developed didn't work, and they didn't know why. And you can't expect IT to know why. They're just like, well, I don't understand. It's like, it's okay. I understand. And this is what we need to do. And this is why we need to do it. And so we were able to really make it, you know, not perfect. It was, and it still isn't perfect, but we were able to get it to a place where somebody could pick it up and run with it and not have any issues. So user power was so important during this. And we continue to do that with our implementations in Salesforce. And like, we continue to involve the users because it's so important that they're there.
No, that's awesome. I do have, because I know we're right at time, I've got a couple more questions for you. So Jorge on Facebook had asked, are they planning to move City Furniture into Amazon or anything alike?
Move it into Amazon?
Yeah, are you guys currently selling on Amazon? Is it just strictly the? Nope.
Yeah, we just sell through our online and website and through our showrooms. We haven't really, we're working this year through doing better at domestic and export shipments. We really haven't been set up for that. But especially going through COVID and, like, you know, wanting to be able to get, like, I remember we had someone in Arizona who wanted to purchase our product. Like, how did you find us in Arizona? But we have a domestic shipping process, but it's not the right one, and it's a little expensive. So we want to be able to cross borders and get out of Florida, which we are working on. And we've integrated some third-party tax services, so we can actually help have our taxes not be calculated internally, which is one of our limitations. We just can't maintain taxes outside of our own state without the help. So I don't know if we'll ever sell on Amazon. They're our competition. I'll have to ask Andrew that, but we would like to branch out and get out of just being in South Florida. We want to be like an Ashley Furniture that everybody knows everywhere they go. So we will be expanding. Look out for us. Don't know if you'll see us on Amazon though, but
okay.
That's a good
But you
question.
guys, it sounds like either way, you guys got some big plans there.
Yeah, we definitely want to, you know, once we get through Tampa, which is our next endeavor, we want to keep going, you know.
Awesome.
So
Very good. I've got let me see, a couple more questions. So Maureen, also on Facebook, says, how does your PMO department prioritize their next big feature to build out?
That is a great question. Well, that's actually one of my new roles is to help IT which is why you saw like I titled, like I'm also not just in charge of helping with the mobile apps, but really trying to help plan out IT's demand versus capacity. Like I just told you, we have a very small IT department and we have a very large company that wants something from us. So we just have to rack and stack based off priority and resources. And so we look at, what's the ROI versus cost, and then what resources can work on this and what else are they working on. So if you guys notice, we have a team that develops RPG. We have a team that develops in Node.js and a team that develops in Swift, which is our front end iOS language. So the RPG team is very small. That's an old language. They're not teaching RPG anymore. So we have extreme towers of knowledge, and there are huge dependencies on the rest of the projects because obviously the back end is still where everything lives. We're just sending it to a pretty front-facing app, It's like a lipstick on a pig, if you will. Like at the end of the day, we just made it prettier. That's like how I say it. So we just have to look at like what needs to be done for what reasons, and like things like growth. Like if we're trying to open up a new showroom, that has to go first. And then we just kind of go down the list of when can we get things done and when the deadlines are. But it's very challenging. We're working through it right now. I don't have a solid answer because that's my new job to figure that out. So if you have any feedback, let me know on if you guys have a better process. But it's tough.
That's awesome. It sounds like it sounds like you are definitely a very integral person in all of this process, and that they're really taking your feedback as well as the rest of the associates. And I know that we had you speaking at one of the other developer conferences, and we got a lot of great feedback from that as well. It seems like like comments online like Todd is making is that obviously people are noticing the difference, and it's a lot better than what you guys had.
Yeah,
I think you guys are doing a great job. The only other question I had left that's a little bit different of a question, not so much on the technical side, but just is the adoption with the sales associates. They had asked, did you roll out everything at once? Because you showed us the one screen with the different apps that you can use inside of that, and there was a bunch of different features. So was that hard to train your current employees, and how do you deal with training now?
So what we launched initially, and this was to make sure we had the adoption, was the ASAP app, which had the catalog, the customer profile, the cart, so the main app that I talked about. And then we launched the payment app, which is where you take money, and then the finance app, which is where you do all your finance applications. So we launched with those three. We did not launch until all three were ready. And then how we trained. So let's see, I was a part of that as well. So we actually, first what we did is we launched the iPad. So everybody got an iPad first with no mobile apps, just whatever comes on the iPad. So we put on their like Jabber so they can make calls. There's their new Zello, which is the communication app they use to talk to each other internally in the showroom. And then some other things we put on there. But that was to make sure they got used to having an iPad, because you can't, like, once this becomes your point of sale tool, like, you can't leave it. And, people might, take it with them. So you got to make sure you have your iPad. So we wanted them to get to do that first. So we started doing that at the end of 2016. And then we launched the 3 apps in our corporate showroom, which for anyone in the area, that's Tamarack. That was the first showroom that got it. So we trained them, and we had a whole day of training, and we just broke the showroom down into, so we had people on the floor and people in training. And then they were so after I had went through the app and tested everything and made sure it was good, and we built the training material, we wanted it to be used on a bigger level. And there's 50 plus associates in that store. And at the time it was our busiest store. So, and it's also, IT is right on top of it. So God forbid anything went down, we were right there to handle it. So we let them have it for a few weeks. And then once we realized we got those kinks worked out, because, you're always going to miss some kinks, we then took it by region. So then we launched it to the Fort Lauderdale showrooms, and then the Miami showrooms. And then we took it north to West Palm, Boca. Then we had to do the West Coast. So we did it in chunks. So, and then we did all of our city stores first, and then we looped back around and did all of our Ashley stores. So I think we launched at Tamarack in February. So I think I trained the last class in June. So it was a pretty long transition, but you needed to, give them time. And also it was only a day. Like, these weren't new hires. These were people that were already working. So you just walked into a room, got trained in one day on how to use mobile apps, and then walked back out. And then the next day you're supposed to just use your mobile app. So we had people in the showroom to support them. So I would train, and then me and a few other people would stick around for a week and just help them. I would have to force adoption. Some of them were just like, I don't want to do it. So I had to kind of be like a bouncer next to the AS400. Like, you can't come in here. You have to use your iPad. And then once people started to see, like, wow, so-and-so's making a lot more money. Wow, they like this a lot better. Oh, wait, I want to use it now. Wait, okay, I do want to change, because people just don't like change. And then the new hires, they were easy. They were like, what's the AS400? I'm like, don't worry about it. You don't ever want to see it. So they were so easy because they didn't know any better. And they definitely, like, if you put an AS400 in front of me and you put an iPad in front of me, and we go after younger folks, like we have college recruiting, like imagine which one you're going to want to pick up. You're going to want to pick up the iPad. So again, it was like a 4 to 5 month training transition. And then we slowly started removing things from the AS400. So the first thing we took away was payment. It's like, all right, you don't want to write an invoice on the iPad? Great, but you can't take a payment. And then it's like, okay, you don't want to write an invoice? Okay, but you can't do a finance application or payment. And then last, once we had every type of invoicing in the ASAP app, because we didn't have everything right away, we removed invoicing. And at that point, most everyone was adopted. So it's just different ways. Some people took to it right away, and some were just like, I've been here for 30 years. I'm good. I don't need an iPad. And,
I think it's smart. Yeah, it's smart how you guys did it, though, with using the headquarters showroom as almost like the guinea pig first.
Yeah.
And like you said, just having IT right there is probably helpful.
Well, yeah, and I mean, it's like bittersweet, right? Like, you're the guinea pig, so they always get things first, but they don't always get them, they have to provide feedback. But yeah, we try to do anything we can launch in just a few places. Like, we try to launch it minimal impact, and then we spread it out across the rest of the stores. We're up to like 30 stores right now. I think we're about to open 31. So you just, want to make sure you don't cause too much ruckus when you're launching, especially when you're launching something as big as, a whole new process into your sales environment. But it worked out, we got there. So.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like, this was actually super interesting, because it sounds like you guys put a lot of time and effort and planning into this. And it sounds like, even from the comments online, that this is much better and more improved than what you guys had. And it seems to be working by the numbers. So, congratulations to you guys for sure. And let me see, I'll do a last minute check here. But I think I asked all of the questions that were on social. Oh, I've got one final one. It says, what do you think are the 2 and 3 key things that needed to become truly omni at Citi? And that's the last question I've got.
To be truly omni at Citi? Well, the main thing is, the first is the integration to connecting all of that customer data. So, right now we're not omni-channel with our web online experience to the mobile app experience in the store. They're very similar. We streamline the way we develop things, and we work very closely to the digital developers. But if you shop online and then walk into the store today, we do not have them connected. So that's the first piece, is like, how do we get that customer points connected? So we know, like, I added this to my cart, or added this to my favorites, or I already entered my address, or whatever information you already have done in one place or the other, you should be able to pick it up right when you get in. So that is something we definitely are working towards this year, and into next year we want to have that done. So I think that's just the main thing. Like, if you can just connect, the experience, then that's really all you need to do for it to work. Most everything else is pretty streamlined. It's just we're not talking to each other yet. Yeah.
No, I'm excited to see the next stages for you guys, because this was obviously already very impressive. And wanted to thank you again for coming on here. I know that this was a great presentation. I can always tell by the the different questions that we get on social and stuff. So people are super engaged. So I appreciate it.
Oh, that's good. Well, thank you. I love doing this. So thank you guys for having me. I love talking about the mobile apps. It's, it was like a little baby that we birthed to. It's like, now it's like just, it is, at one point it was new, and only a few years in, it's like we can't imagine life without them. So I think that we learned a lot from others, like benchmarking with others that had failed. And we made sure not to make the same mistakes. And we hope that people can learn from us. We're super open to letting people kind of see our journey and what worked and what didn't, because,
No, that's awesome. And I was just going to ask you, for anybody that has questions or is information oriented, wants to kind of get more information on what you guys have done here, is there a place that they can go to either reach out to somebody or where they could find information about what you guys have done?
They can email me. That's fine. And then if I don't have an answer, I can get them to the right people. So if you want to, I don't know if my information is there. I can give you my email.
Yeah, I have it. So I'll drop it there on social, but I really appreciate it. And thanks again. We're looking forward, of course, to doing more stuff with you guys in the future. You guys have been great members for us.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Nikki, for having me, and City Furniture, and thinking of us. And again, let us know if you guys did anything. Thank you for showing up on this rainy afternoon. I hope everyone is safe, and maybe next time we'll see you all in person, but if not, this worked out really well. So
yes. Thanks, Brittany.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.